Tsongkhapa's view, and we had a good discussion. We had class together, right? B, I get. Welcome. I can see lots of messages here. Good morning from Kamloops. Where's Kamloop?
In British Columbia.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm so bad at geography, and also I don't know what exists surrounding me.
Yeah. It's like me. I moved to Hamilton. I'm not a Hamilton native, so I don't know
Mm,
Hamilton very well either.
mm,
Yeah, there it is.
mhm,
Okay, I think we can get started. So I'll share the screen.
mhm.
We'll do this in Tibetan. Tenpa chomden deshin shepa dra chompa yangda bar sope sangye rigpa dang shan su denpa dewa shepa jiten genpa ke budo e kalo gyorwa Lana me paladan minam gidunba sangi chomden de pegyawa shakya tu pala chatse lo chudun gyabsu ji wo Tunpa chomden de deshin jepa dra champa yang dar zo pe zangi rigpa dang sham su denpa dewar shepa jing ten genpa ke budul we kalo gyorwa lana mepa ladang minam gi dunpa sangi chomden de pe gyawa shakya tu pala Chatselo chuden gyabsu jiwo Tunpa chomden de deshin chepa dra chamba yang tabar zo pe sangi Vigpa dang shang su denpa dewa shekpa Chikten kenpa ke budul we kalo gyorwa Lana me pa la dang minam gitunba Sange chomdende belgyawa shakya tu bala chatselo chudun gyabsu ji om. Saji peki choshin me do Ji ni de gen pa di Sangye Jindu Mite Uwa Rukunom Dajinla Chebar Shu Idam Gurana Mandalakam Niryadayami Angi chudang tsogi chonam la jangchu bardu dagni kyab suji Dagi Jenin Gibe Sonamgi Drola Benchir Sange Drupasho Sange Chudang Tsogi Chognam La Changchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuji Dagi Jenin Gibe Sonamgi Drola benje sangye drupa ro sangye judan sogye jonam la changchu bardu dagni kyabsuji dagi chenyen gibe sonam gi drola benje sangye drupa ro. So I want to welcome Venerable Pema Sherpa here today. He will be giving a presentation teaching on the Sakya view of the Madyamaka philosophy, the wisdom of emptiness. So Venerable Pema Sherpa is a graduate of philosophy at the Dzongsar Monastery in Bir, India, and is currently doing a master's. So he's done a master's in Buddhist studies from the University of Virginia and is now working towards a PhD at McMaster University, researching the monastic discipline of Vinaya. Thank you so much, Khenpo Pema Sherpa, for joining us here today. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just share my screen. Can you let me
Yeah,
share the screen? Thank you so much.
I'll make you a co-host.
That would be great.
Co-host, there we go.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I can share the screen. Okay, allow. Okay, thank you so much, Lama Shiling community for inviting me. I'm honored to have as a guest lecturer, and I'm excited. Although I don't have so much to present, but I was just thinking that most of you are familiar with Madyamaka and also very familiar with Jetsongkhapa's view and Kuramba. So just to clarify, although I will present Kurumba's view, but I'm not really all the times in line with Kurumba's view against Tsongkhapa. That's my take. Um, and is it okay? So maybe we can just have like discussion discussion style because I don't think it will be appropriate just to speak and speak and then it just uh, I just I don't want to eat all your time and then just speak myself. Okay, so we could be like yeah, you can ask any question that you have anytime, so you can just stop me or you raise your hand or just uh yeah.
Great.
So uh, that's I think more appropriate. Although maybe I'm going against the against what you have been doing in Lama Shiling's teaching. So I'm sorry for that.
It's fine. It's
Apology.
fine. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started with okay, funny uh way of oh where is my okay. So I just put like understanding Madhyamika from the lens of Kurumpa. So it doesn't mean to say Kurumpa is correct, but we just try to understand from his perspective, right? Okay, so Kurumpa is one of the uh, prolific and productive author in Sakya's lineage, and in Sakya lineage, there are three, at least like 3 or 4 different schools within Sakya. So one is called Sakya, and then Ngor and Tsar, and there's another one, Zong. So Goramba specifically include in Ngorpa's tradition. So I mean, Sakya, Ngorpa, and Sarba, these schools are different in mainly in rituals, performance, not uh, in so much in philosophy and meditation, but more of like how they do the ritual, performance. Okay, so that's one thing. And so he's considered as experts in both sutra and tantra, and he lives during 15th century, and he is considered as one of the uh, most loyal student of five founders of Sakya, right? So when he writes a commentary, he tend to follow what those five founders of Sakya says. So he really try to stick with what they says, and even sometimes uh, he will try to understand from the lens of uh, the five founder of Sakya, whatever it is, it doesn't matter Tantra or like Sutra, epistemology, Vinaya, not so much Vinaya because there is not much written about the Vinaya from five founders of Sakya. So basically, he really tried to, keep himself with those five Sakya's founders. Okay. So I don't think we have to mention who are those five. I'll jump to the main topic. Hmm. Okay, so I think when we talk about the Madhyamika, the topic with the Madhyamika just including two truths, right? So that's the very normal way of how we understand Madhyamika in two truths, right? So from the Kurumba's perspective, so relative truth is the reality of the object found by false view. The false view refers to the ordinary view, right? Ordinary view are considered like anything to do with the worldly perspective, right? So that's the ordinary view, and then ultimate reality or truth is the reality of object found by the perfective view or spiritual view. Not, I mean, like uh, the spiritual view has a very broad understanding, like you can have also visions of deities and vision of Buddhas and different kinds, Buddhas of different kinds. But here, when we say spiritual view, it's more of like a spiritual view of emptiness, right? So that's the understanding of how Kuramba understand the true truths. Okay. Mm. Any questions so far? Are we good? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so relative truth. Okay, what's relative truth? Konamba says all the relative truth based on assumption, right? It's just assumption. You don't have to really logically prove something is something in terms of relative truth. Suppose if you say why, you know, why apple is born from the seed of apple, it is just assumed and it is just posited like that way, and it's the how understood in a worldly sense. That's uh so that's one thing. And another thing is why it doesn't go through? It functions when it is not thoroughly analyzed. So the relative truth function well when you don't analyze, when you don't analyze thoroughly. I mean, there is you can analyze to some extent, but you cannot really go beyond that critical analysis. You have to have a limit of how you look at and then understand the relative truth, or a relative truth or conventional truth, right? Suppose if I say, okay, so is like cause and effect one or separate? Then Kuramba says, no, 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 don't go there. It's too dangerous. If you go there, if you analyze in that way, you're going to destroy the functionality of cause and effect. Because this is how Madhyamika uh, dismantle the functionality and the understanding of cause and effect in order to establish the emptiness, right? So that's how I say stop here. If you want to talk about the relative truth, just stop here. Don't go further. Right? Don't ask that question. Mm. Okay, the second is yes, if you analyze further, then it will disappear. It will disappear. There won't be cause and effect. That's why just stop here, right? Okay. And he says every truth that we think is a true in the relative sense is it's just a subjective. It's just subjective. So what truth for the animal is not for the human, and then what truth for the human is not truth for the animals. You might so uh suppose if you I'm having tea right now here, so this is tea for me. It would be something else for somebody, some different, species. But is it real? Let's say, somebody is seeing it as water, just a clean water, and then I'm seeing it as tea. Then, if you ask Koramba, is it tea or water? Then he says it depends. From US perspective, it's a tea. The other the species perspective is a water, right? But what is it, right? What is it? What is the reality? There's no reality. There's so what is in the cup? What's in the cup? Koramba says, depends. It depends, right? It depends who is seeing what. So if you're seeing a tea in the cup, yes, tea is there, but not the water, not the water, because you don't see the water here, right? So if you are seeing the water here in the cup, yes, the water is there, but not the tea. This is pretty much in contrast with um, Tsongkhapa's Tsongkhapa's view, because Tsongkhapa says, yes, tea is here, water is here, so all different perspective that we see from the different species are there, right? In the same cup. So this is how Koramba understood Tsongkhapa, and then he would argue that with Tsongkhapa by saying, if then this is not a cup of tea, it's like six cup of different, liquor, or I mean, different, uh, different beverage or something, right? So this is how he argue with Koramba, and then say, no, 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 you are you're incorrect. This is, philosophical, like debate. Okay. Mm, uh, okay. The next one, karma and its result are linked by storehouse consciousness, alaya vijnana, right? So okay, you do some action, and then some action has to have consequences, right? Consequences, good consequences or bad consequences. How does it work? Like if something happens now and then it has consequences in the later, uh, uh, if it is immediate, yeah, we don't we tend to believe that it's okay, it doesn't matter. So something happened and then it has consequences. But what happened if, so you do something now and then you have like consequence in the 100 years later, right? So what links that to cause and effect? Who links that? And then Karamba says, of course, Allah Vijnana, or the storehouse consciousness, of course, because it's broadly taught in sutras and tantras and everywhere. But Tsongkhapa says, no, 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 no. Alala Vijnana is only until only uh, the doctrine of a mind-only school. It's only until mind-only school. After that, there's no so-called Alyala Vijnana's the concept or theory of Alyala Vijnana. And because if Alyala Vijnana exists, it has to be exist truly because this is how it is taught in the text, right? So then Kodamba said, no, 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 you are misunderstanding that because you don't have to accept the Alala Vijnana. Even though you accept the Alala Vijnana, you don't have to accept as truly existent phenomena. And then it's totally okay, right? So then Koramba maybe Tsongkhapa has to uh, um, justify his position of what links the cause and effect, right? Then he come up with this idea of Shikpa Ngobo, which is I don't have really good translation of that, but I think Jose Peterson has translated it's a real destruction. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but it's just like Shikpa. Shikpa Ngobo is like when something a thing get destroyed, then the destruction itself is a thing, and then it has effect. So suppose if your karma is accumulated and then just uh, after a moment it will disappear, right? So the disappearance, the the process of disappearing is a thing. And so the process of disappearing is a thing, and then it continues. Maybe I'm not really understanding well, but you should just confirm with Geshe, because Geshe is an expert on that. I'm not going to say more. So basically, the process of destruction the is or has the ability to link the karmic cause and the effect, right? The cause and effect. But don't take my word. Take the Geshe word on that part. Okay. Yeah, Alala Vijnana is a big thing in Sakya. Okay, Dev.
Yes, I was going to since you suggested we could interrupt you, thank you for that.
Sure, sure,
There
sure.
was a
Welcome.
question. There was a
Mm.
question in the chat, so I thought I would,
Oh,
and
sorry.
maybe you were
Because
just about
I'm
to.
just sharing my screen, so I cannot see
See, okay, no,
the
yes. Well,
message.
you were just about to speak about the storehouse consciousness a bit further, and so this was the question. Please, can you explain what is the storehouse consciousness?
Okay, sounds good then. So this is a big thing for Sakya, and I think for Nyingma as well. Not so much about I mean, even in Kaju lineage, they kind of like accept this storehouse consciousness theory or idea when we talk about the Madhyamika. So the storehouse consciousness is a, a consciousness that carries uh, mm, all the uh, what do you call the latent of the karma. So basically, you store everything in the that consciousness, and then later that consciousness will help to bring a effect of that. So whatever karma you accumulate, action that you accumulate, the karma will not uh, be there all the time, but it has to leave something behind so that it brings the consequences later, right? So who will hold that that uh let's say the smell of karma, or like this so if you mm, I think the latent or the pattern, the pakcha. Can you help me, Dave? Like, how do you understand? How do you understand pakcha? Yeah, latent residue, right? Residue. residue of the karma. Um, so the residue of the karma is stored in that storehouse consciousness, and then that will help to bring up the consciousness later. So, the functionality of the storehouse is one functionality is that, and then other functionality is it is the base of all other consciousness. All other consciousness is arising throughout from the alaya vijnana. It doesn't matter mental consciousness or the your negative feelings or emotions or your eye consciousness and then smell, taste, and everything. So basically, alala vijnana is the root of all other consciousness, not just the root of all other consciousness, but root of everything, everything. Like all three, realms. Let's say all the phenomena, and not just the samsaric phenomena, but even the nirvana. So uh how does samsara comes to exist is when you misunderstand the alayala vijnana, then samsara come to exist. But when you understand this alayala vijnana correctly, this is the nirvana. So that's how at least Kuramba would explain the Alala Vishna, the concept of the Alala Vishnana. Is there any for did, did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I can. uh, I
Right.
okay.
So we have some additional questions on this. Alaya. So one question is the Alaya Vijnana is like the main mind, not a sub-mind. It's where the imprints of
Hmm.
karma are imprinted. Yes.
Just give me a second. Okay. So oh no. Where's my mouse? I cannot see the mouse because now I got the
Oh, yes.
oh. I'm going to stop sharing
Uh-huh.
for a while because I cannot see the mouse and then I cannot track down anything.
Oh, okay. Yes.
uh Go back. Mm, and make it smaller. I'm going to share it again, okay? I'm
Yeah.
sorry
Please.
for the interruption.
No problem. Thank
Mm,
you.
share. Okay, what was the question again, please?
Yeah. So the question was, the Alaya Vijnana is the main mind, not a sub-mind. It's
Oh. Mm, are you asking if it is the mental event or the main mind or like subconscious mind or like the manifested mind?
Yeah, this is a question in chat, so I'm not sure. Um,
Okay,
Maybe you
let
could
let,
describe
let
those.
me
Yeah. Yeah,
let me just explain both of them
please.
then. Okay, so we have this concept of like main mind and then mental event, right? So how does I mean it depends again like who is explaining this again because different scholars has different understanding of what is main mind and then what's mental event, right? At least from Columba's perspective, what he would understand is main mind is a mind that focuses or like stress uh focusing on the main characteristic of a object. Say, tea is a main characteristic in this sense right now, right? Tea. Or sweet, it is sweet or it's salt. That is feature. So I'm adding the feature on the tea, right? So then when I add the feature, so that is the functionality of mental event. So mental event help us to add on the feature on something, right? Something concrete or something uh, so basically mental events help us to build up the features on something. So the main mind is the first mind who think about something like or tea or cup or you know a screen or something like that. And so that's main mind and mental event. I wouldn't say uh, the Alala Vijnana is none of these. Because Alaya Vijnana, when these things happen, when the mind is engaging with the object, then then Alaya the functionality of Alaya Vijnana is not there because as soon as the mind started to engage with the object, now the you could say it is the consequences of not understanding correctly the alala vijnana, and then you have these consequences, this projection of something. Okay, I see a cup. See? So that is the uh, but that is not the alala vijnana, but rather is the main mind, or either the yeah, I would say main mind, the sixth mind, right? And uh, uh and so basically the alala vijnana don't think. Alala vijnana has no conceptual thought. It's a pure awareness. Is a pure awareness that is a very still and pure. It can observe and then observe the imprint of the karma and the residue of the karma, but it doesn't really think or do anything but just uh, be aware. But when the when something is imprinted on that, and then that imprint has to be manifested, then it will have to manifest. That's all the what the alala vijnana does. And then this is how under alala vijnana is uh, explained in Korampa's understanding, I think.
Great. So we have another question about Alaya Vijnana.
Mm.
So what makes us understand the Alaya Vijnana in these two different ways, samsarak or nirvana?
So if you understand the Alala Vijnana correctly, there's the Nirvana, right? So then it becomes the base of Nirvana.
Hmm.
And then if you don't understand it correctly, it becomes it creates, I mean, it doesn't really create, but it becomes kind of like the base of the samsara.
Hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. So I guess the question is, what is the correct understanding?
Okay. Maybe we can get back to that because
Okay.
we're going to talk about this
Oh, okay.
ultimate, and then maybe then we can understand more on that part. Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay. So let me just share it again. Hmm, we talk about this one. The second, third one disappears. Karma and result. Okay, so now this becomes more interesting. Here's the cause and oh sorry, its result, right? Cause and its result are neither one nor separate. What does it mean? Like, okay, so am I not separate from my father? Am I am I not different from my father, right? Or my mom? I don't know. So basically, uh. mm, I think this is also true for Tsongkapas also, because there's no way that Prasanjika would say cause and effects are two different things compared to each other. Like they are not separate, neither they are one. Why? Because in the Prasanjika's understanding, if something is separate, then it has to coexist. Why? Because in order to say this is different from this, you have to see it together. Otherwise, you cannot compare them. But you would say that why cannot I compare? Because I could have an image of that, thing and image of the seed, and then I have the real apple in my hand, and then I can compare it, right? So, but really, are you really comparing the seed of apple and an apple, or image of apple and an apple, the image of seed and an apple, right? So basically, what uh, Prasanjika would say is that either you are comparing with the idea that you have in your mind of seed and then apple, or the seed and then idea of the apple. You're comparing these two, not the real seed and then apple. So in that sense, you cannot compare them. So how can you say this is different? Right? You cannot say different. So this, I think this is a base understanding of why they say the cause and effect are not two separate things, just because you cannot compare them because they do not coexist, right? So that's the understanding. And uh the Sautantrika would say, no, 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 this is too much. This is too much to say that. Right? I mean, in a way, uh, in a way, yeah, it's correct, because one of the claim that Prasanjika make is that don't analyze, right? So here he's quite analyzing quite a bit, isn't it? So, but in terms of Sautantrika's understanding, I think they would say, yes, cause and effects are two different things. It's okay, you know, maybe not in ultimate reality because there's no cause and effect, but in relative sense, yes, they are two separate things. It doesn't cause any damage to say they are two separate things. But for Prasanjika, this is a big thing, and then they had big argument. Like most part of the chapter 6 of Madhyamika Karika is based on this argument, like whether the cause and effect are towards separate or one. And then, but they use different examples. So basically, the opposition is mostly um, uh, mind only school, Chittamatra, because they try to convince Mahayana, Madhyamika, by saying, no, like, look, we have memories and we have self-awareness. These are two different things, and then they are truly exist, stuff like that. And then they would argue on that, and then at the end, of course, Madhyamika wins, right? Because the presenter is Madhyamika. But it's difficult to really say who wins or who lost. I think there's lots of messages. Can you just read it for me? If there's any question, Dave?
Yes, thank you. Yes, so the next question is, does Rigpa also arise from Alaya Vijnana when understanding correctly?
Rigpa is a very broad term which can also include Alyara Vijnana. But I think when we talk in especially in Tantra and Dzogchen stuff, then Rigpa refers to the Alyala Vijnana. Rigpa refers to the Alyala Vijnana. Uh, it is the Alyala Vijnana rather than the uh, manifestation of the Alyala Vijnana.
Okay. Yeah. Another question about when what does when we speak about coexisting, I think that in
Mhm.
referring to cause and effect, coexisting, What does coexist mean?
Coexist means exist at the same time, simultaneously.
Hmm.
So we have understanding that cause comes first, and then it reduce result. It it, it get destroyed, and then comes the result effect, right? So the effect comes only after the destruction of the cause, right? The causes exist only when the result is not there yet to be there, right?
Hmm.
So that is the like not they're not simultaneously exist. Mhm.
Right.
But if you ask, okay, so like, I and my father exist together because, he lives just nearby. We live in the same house, right? But I mean, yes, we would see this guy as your father, but I think here when we talk about the cause and effect, is we have to understand more subtly. So it's like the real, the immediate cause and immediate effect, not the pattern of the cause and pattern of the effect. It's just the immediate, right?
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, I think
Okay.
that's, yeah.
Okay. Go back. Mhm. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. The ordinary cognition is not a valid cognition, right? So, yes, unfortunate, right? So whatever we have, you know, we think that, oh, this is the right way of thinking. That's wrong. That's it's a wrong. It's a sad news, bad news. Uh, so I think here again, Koramba and Tsongkhapa would disagree with each other because Tsongkhapa is one of the maybe like Tsongkhapa is only person of his time saying the ordinary cognition could be a valid cognition, and then but later his disciples and commentators has supported his view, but at his time, I think among Tibetan scholars, I think he's the first person to say that the in Madhyamikas within the Madhyamikas understanding. Okay, no, we are not talking about the other schools or other sects, but within the Madhyamikas understanding, he's the one of the first Tibetan scholars who kind of claim that ordinary cognition is the valid cognition, and then every other school, Sakya, Kagyu, and Nyingma, attack him like anything. On that part. I think I don't remember so clearly, but I think one of the Kagyu's scholar, one of the Karmapa has supported him in some sense, but most of the others they just attack him on saying this like, no, 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 how can you say that? So if if ordinary cognition is a valid cognition, then there's no what do you call them? There's no use of the Arya's cognition, like Arya being's cognition or the noble being's cognition, stuff like that. There are lots of disagreement among them, but I don't think it's so much of value unless you are so much in the philosophical debate. Okay. Mm. Mhm. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, there are some comments and questions around Rigpa again.
Okay. So,
So Rigpa, as in primordial awareness, wisdom.
mhm.
There's also an expression here that Rigpa does not arise; it is eternally existing. So then, comparing Rigpa and Alaya Vijnaya a little bit more. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like when Koramba said that Alayana Vijnana exists, he doesn't mean to say exists truly or like So by nature is emptiness, and so the Rigpa is so we have this uh understanding of like the combination of Rigpa and then emptiness, right? It's emptiness. The nature of the Rigpa, the nature the aspect of the emptiness of Rigpa and then aspect of it being awareness, right? So these two things, awareness and then emptiness, and the combination, right? The when we say Rigpa, we are talking about the aspect of the awareness, whereas we say chewing, like chewing, then it's kind of combination of uh, the awareness and then the emptiness, right? And then tongba, when we say tongba, then we are kind of like picking one aspect, the empty aspect. And then when we say rigba, we are picking the awareness aspect. When we say chewing, deshek ningpo, like Buddha nature, right? So then we are kind of combining them together again, like so. This is how we, use the different terminology. Like we say, if we say you're beautiful, then we are picking one aspect, right? We're not talking the whole as whole you, right? But we are saying, oh, this aspect, that aspect. So Rigpa is again, the term itself is like to pointing out one aspect of the Buddha nature, let's say, Tathagata Garbha.
Mm.
Mhm. I can see lots of comments in this
Yes.
box, but I cannot open because when I open, then I cannot
Yeah,
control my mouse. So.
no problem, no problem.
Mhm.
Um, so I have a question. If so, this is getting to cause and effect. If
Mhm.
the cause comes first, how does cause originate? And so then how to stop causes from originating?
So if cause comes first, how does it originate? And then what's the second one?
How to stop causes from originating?
Mm, ah, when we say cause, we are not really talking about the first ever cause, right? We are just picking random from somewhere and then picking, oh, this is going to it has some consequences. We, I don't think this is a big question in the for whole Buddhist for whole Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist doctrine. Who come first? Who is the first? What is the first ever cause? Right? Then Buddhists will say, no, there's no first ever cause. No, but not as a universal cause, the first ever cause, but individual could have, because you could say in terms of your existence, in terms of my existence, my individual existence, your individual existence, the first ever cause is not knowing or not misunderstanding the alive Vijnana. That's the ever cause of your existence, right? But you cannot tell the universal or the whole entire world first ever cause. So like then how do you stop that cause, right? How do you stop that into continue the continuity of the cause and effect? Then yes, just correctly understand the alaya vijnana. That's all how you stop, right? Yes.
Hmm. Another question here is the mind different from the brain?
Ah, typical. This is really like, I think very generational. Not, I mean, the current generation's question, really. I don't know. I personally, I don't know, but if you ask Koramba, he would say definitely they are different. He would say definitely the consciousness is different from the brain. So I think in modern science tend to we tend to assume. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say science has proof or something like that, but we tend to assume that the mind is a consequence, or mind is a um uh the what do you call the when how do we judge our emotion when you look at the cognitive science, or like the neuroscience. How do you judge our emotion? Then they look at the brain functionality, and then they judge, right? So when you have this emotion, this part of the brain does something. Oh, maybe your emotions comes because this brain is, you know like doing something, and then it has some effect. I mean, maybe, and I'm just making big claim, but this is my how I understood. Okay, so we look at our emotion, and then we look at our brain uh, parts, and then, so of course there would some reaction in the brain when we have emotions. Uh, so Buddhists would understand that we have this reaction in the brain because of our emotion. Because of our emotion, first emotion come first, and then the brain has this reaction. Whereas in the um, science, we would say, because we have this, brain, something happens in the brain, then the emotions, or like the uh, sense comes later, or I don't know, but they relate the consciousness. I don't think science has also like said ever, okay, the mind is, brain or something like that. But there is the when we talk about the feelings and emotions, then they tend to study the brain, and through the brain they tend to explain how emotions and brain connected with each other. And then normal people like us think that, oh, science has said brain, the mind is a reaction of a brain, or the brain is the same as a mind. But I don't know if they really have said that, even in the science. But my conclusion is, according to Koramba, brain and the mind is completely two different things. Yes, they have some connection, but very close connection, but they are two different things.
Yeah, I think there's some debate in the chat here, but I don't think
Yeah,
I'll read it all because
of course.
then we will not get to the end of your presentation.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll continue with your presentation, and
Okay.
at the end
Yeah, so
I'll read
yeah,
a
so
yeah,
sorry for those who have, written such a long chat, but and then still I cannot, read and then,
yeah,
address your thought. I'm sorry. Uh, it's just a technical, issue here.
yeah, yeah,
Mm. Okay, so I think we'll just stop here about the relative truth, and then jump into the ultimate truth. Okay. Okay, so when we talk about the ultimate truth, we also have two different types of ultimate truth. The ultimate truth that we normal people understand, like approximate ultimate truth, and then the actual ultimate truth, right? So the approximate ultimate truth is a ultimate truth that is determined by people like us, and think, and then use the logic, and then says come to a conclusion that yes, that's it, right? So this is the emptiness. So that is the uh, approximate ultimate reality, and then the actual is, so this is not it. So you have to, so you have used the logical reasoning to establish the emptiness, and then you have to meditate on that, and then it has to be refined, and then uh, when it refined completely, then you have this the realization of the actual reality, and that is called the ultimate actual reality of, and then it is only accumulate through the understanding is only accumulated through the meditation process, right? So that's the the ultimate truth. Okay, so let's talk about the logical reasoning of Madhyamika. So what does logical reasoning of Madhyamika do is like it focus on the negating all phenomena, not just something. But here again, Koramba and Tsongkhapa would disagree with each other, whereas Tsongkhapa would say only just when we negate things through the Madhyamika logic, then reasoning, then we just have to focus on negating the truly existent, not the just existent, but it has to be truly existent. Just existence is okay, right? So that this is how Tsongkhapa would, I think, understand. At least Koramba has understand. This is how Koramba has understood the Tsongkhapa's view, and then on that basis he has make a big argument. Okay, so whereas in Koramba's understanding, he would say that, I mean, like, as long as you have as long as you have a belief or belief in something, it doesn't matter if you believe it is just exists or truly exists. As long as you have some idea of something, there's a problem. It will it will hinder you to understand the emptiness of that nature, that existence, right? It will hinder you to see the emptiness of that thing that you have in your mind.
Mm.
That's why you have to dismantle that idea also. It doesn't matter whether you think that it is truly existent or just exist, just kill it through the logical reasoning, right? So in order to destroy that idea, you have to destroy the object of that idea, right? So that's one thing, big claim. And the second is two types of object of the negation: external object and then internal thought, right? So in order to become a Buddha, you have to really get rid of all the thoughts that you have. So this is Columbus Columbus in claim. So as long as you have thought and something happens, happening in your mind, you cannot be Buddha because you are imagining and you're delusioning. So you have to really get rid of these things. How do you do that? You do that through dismantling first. You cannot really deal with your own mind before you deal with the object. So you dismantle the object first. It could be external, it could be ideas, it could be theories. Just uh, dismantle that, and then the thought will just disappear by itself, because when you have nothing to grasp, nothing to cling to, then it won't cling, right? So if you have no brain to hold your to grip, then you cannot hold, right? You cannot grip. Although you do that action, there's nothing to hold. So so maybe you will do one time, two time. Since there's nothing to hold, then you will just, okay, I'm not going to put effort. I'll just leave it, right? So that's how your mind will do that. Okay. Mere negation of true existence of the phenomena is not suffice to understand the ultimate reality. Yes, this is again against the Tsongkhapa's view of how to understand the ultimate reality. So in Tsongkhapa's, I mean, please, when I say Tsongkhapa says this and that, I'm reading Tsongkhapa through Koramba's lens, not from the Tsongkhapa's himself. Okay, I'm reading the Tsongkhapa's from the Koramba's lens, and then I'm saying this. Okay. Mm. So Columba reads Tsongkhapa as saying that, okay, so you don't have to deal with the just the existence in order to understand the emptiness, but it's you have to just deal with the true existence, right? So if you deal with the truly existence, and then you will understand the nature of the reality or emptiness. Whereas Columba said, no, 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 this is not suffice, right? Because it will hinder you. Suppose, if you say, the mug is not truly exists, but the mug exists. But you still see the mug, not the emptiness of the mug. So this is what Kurumba says there. Kurumba said to Tsongkhapa. And Tsongkhapa said, no, no, if you understand the mug is truly not truly existence, ah, you are still understanding the emptiness of the mug. So that is, I think, the simplest way to understand Kurumba's view on Tsongkhapa. Clinging to emptiness should be also negated, right? So Tsongkhapa says, so as after you establish the emptiness, then you can meditate, think about that emptiness regularly, and then practice it. Kurumba says, no, 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 don't think about it. As soon as you think, you destroy. You're not thinking, you're not understanding the emptiness, because thinking hinder you from understanding the emptiness. You shouldn't be thinking. And then the thinking of emptiness is not the view of Madhyamika, is the wrong view of Madhyamika, right? Okay. Mm, next one. Even the intellectual understanding of reality is not correct view. I think this is pretty we said that. So intellectual understanding is the what we said, the the um, approximate ultimate reality, right? So and the so if you ask Kurumpa to, so I'm just assuming all of us are just ordinary being. Okay, maybe you could be bodhisattvas of 10 bhumis, but I'm just assuming that you are not, unfortunately. That's my assumption. So um so if you ask Kurumpa that, do I have a Madhyamika view? And Kurumpa would say, oh, okay, how do you understand then? I understand this and that and that and that and that. Then he would say, no, I don't think you have understanding of the Madhyamika view. Why? Because you think so much, right? You think so much. In Madhyamika's understanding, you shouldn't be thinking. So that's how I think how would he answer that. But if you ask Tsongkhapa, he would be more like he would be more uh more compassionate. I say, yes, you have, just keep going on, right? So yeah, that's my understanding of how Kurumpa and Tsongkhapa's takes on Madhyamika view, the real Madhyamika view. Mm. Uh, does it help? Yes, both, right? So Tsongkhapa is more encouraging. Kurumpa is more direct. Uh, but who is correct? I don't know. Okay, so I think this is the last slide that I have, and the last point that I want to make. So yeah, so the actuality is the absence of all thought and conceptual ideas. That's the ideal of Madhyamika view in Kwaramba's perspective. And not just the Kwaramba's perspective, but all the current present um Sakya's masters. Why? But we have I might just want to address that. There's another scholars in Sakya, Shakya Chokden. He is contemporary of Koramba, and I think they are he Shakya Chokden was only 1 year older than Koramba, and then he lived longer than Koramba. Koramba lived only like 50 years something, something like that. He was some says he was put to death. The Koramba was put to death by some others. I don't know. We don't have really clear history of what happened to Koramba at the end of his life, but still Shaka Shoden lives longer than Kuramba, and Shaka Shoden they are kind of like rivalry within Sakyas. They have completely different understanding in Sakya's view, and then that's why many Sakya scholars says Shaka Shoden is uh I don't want to use this derogatory term, but still, he's a he's spoiled Sakya scholar who who derived derivate like off track, gone off track from the Sakya's view. I think that's it for me. I don't have any other to present. We can discuss. I mean, like, oh, now I can see the text.
Good. Okay. So then I'll let you choose what to address then.
Oh, so they are all muted. They cannot speak.
No, people can mute if they wish. Yeah,
Oh,
I've changed that.
I
Yeah.
would love to hear your voice rather than reading your
Okay.
chat,
So
reading your
let's
message.
yeah, put up your hand. Oh, say so. Bee's put up her hand. So go ahead, Bee.
Yeah, please go on. Be.
First, a couple point of clarification. I want to understand what Goramba thinks. You were talking about object of negation for Goramba, external object and internal thought.
Mhm.
Does he mean by negating the actual object, like the cup, the flower, the house, the tree,
Yes, yes.
then there will be nothing left?
Yeah, nothing left.
Okay, wouldn't that be nihilism?
He wouldn't say because he wouldn't cling to nothingness. He wouldn't cling to nothingness. So if
So the nothing left is not nothingness.
yes,
So
not
it's still there.
sorry.
So what is still there for it not to be nothingness?
I mean, there's nothing to be discussed basically.
Can't be talked about.
There's nothing to be discussed because
Whatever that's there can only be directly experienced and we can't talk about it.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we could say that, yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what he means. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I'm just pretending to be him, okay? Pretending to be him, and then if you ask me, then he would say, "Oh, we cannot discuss, right?" And I would say, "Yeah, yes, we cannot."
Okay. So the negating internal thought means keeping our mind blank. No thoughts.
Correct.
Have you ever heard of this Chinese monk called Huasang?
I know.
So you know the whole debate with Kamalashila and Huasang.
Really good
So is
argument. This is
Gorapa's idea of no thought
good.
same as Huasang's idea of no thought? Or is there
That's
a
why I told you that's why I told you you are familiar with things, you know, in the beginning of class. Yes,
sorry, I have
I
a
mean,
trouble.
like, this question is raised even by himself, Kuramba himself, and then he said, I can answer that because, and he said, Huasheng is saying that you know, he doesn't go through the process of analytical reasoning. He just says like, this is it, and then he doesn't go through the analytical reasoning. So I think this is not answer from the Koramba, but more an answer from the Sakya Pandita. So he compared what's the difference between Huasheng's view and then Sakya's view, and then he said, suppose, you know, there's a two people who is standing nearby a temple, and then uh, and then the thief ran just nearby them, and then one person sees where the thief went, and then other person didn't see, right? And then so the police came and then asked both of them, where did the thief go? Then both uh direct the police to the right direction, but there's a difference, right? One saw the thief where the thief went, the another saw, another didn't know where the thief went, but he still like point. It was just pointing, and then he has no idea that thief went there, but he just pointed. He was accidentally, yes, correct.
Okay,
So in that sense, Huashang is correct in the sense that, you know, blank your mind, but he has no process of understanding that.
so according to Sakya Pantita, before we reach the state of no thought, or before we meditate on, we actually need to go through a conceptual process of understanding first.
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay,
go on, please.
so for Grandpa, given everything that you said, what does emptiness mean for him? Empty of what? Like for Tsongkhapa, Lama Tsongkhapa, he's very clear that he's empty of inherent existence. So for Grandpa, what
Yes.
is it?
For Koramba, the empty of empty of any idea. As long as you have something, you know, clicking in your mind, that's not good.
So
Idea.
can I ask?
Yeah, please, Jeff.
So my understanding of the nature of the mind is that its function is to know. So if emptiness is not to know because there's nothing going on, then how can you say the mind is still there?
The know, the term is really important here now. Okay, so what do you mean by know, right? So we understand knowing the way we understand, don't we? Right? We think that if you know something, you have to know the way we know, right? So how do you know? So for Korampa, he says there's different layers of how you know, and our way of knowing is a very limited and very wrong. So the way, you know, the Rigpa, by nature, the being aware is not you know, having an idea, not having an idea. You know, being aware is not having an idea, but just being aware. And in order to be aware, you don't have to have an object, subject, and object. You don't have to have that subject and object. As long as you have subject and object, then you have duality. right? So at that stage, you have reached that there's no subject and object. Subject and object is kind of one now. It has become kind of like, he wouldn't say one, but just to elaborate, uh, it has become inseparable. Let's say inseparable. That would be more appropriate. I would say that inseparable. So how would you say, okay, I understand that and I don't understand, because subject and object is inseparable at that point.
Would that be the correct understanding of alaya vijnana?
Yes. So the real alaya vijnana is that. Yeah. Mhm.
One more
Never.
clarification, sorry,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
about Grandpa's view about the two ultimate truth, the
Okay.
approximate and the actual.
Mhm.
Does the approximate ultimate truth, with our thinking and analysis and all that, has some, how do you say, similarity to the actual ultimate truth?
Yes, it has some similarity. It has some
It will
similarity.
kind of like give us some feeling or some flavor of what the actual ultimate truth is.
So I think everything that we discuss, and then so far about the emptiness is the approximate understanding, approximate ultimate reality, because I'm definitely 199% sure that I'm not, realized being, and then whatever I think, whatever I said, understanding is approximate, and then so the approximate ultimate reality is a gateway. Like it's just like it's like just peeping through a small
Like the finger pointing to the moon.
yeah, it's kind of that, that's good, that's a good
Okay,
analogy.
thank you.
Yeah, Sunil, go on.
How would you relate emptiness to non-existence?
So again, if uh if you ask Koramba the same question, he would say non-existence, the idea of non-existence comes uh, after when there is something exist, and then that does not exist. Whereas in the emptiness, the understanding of the emptiness, there has not been exist at all from the very beginning of the time. Like there's not even beginning of the time, but nothing has existed at all for all time. So you cannot say non-existence.
So you can say existence is false.
Or what is that? Existence?
Existence is false.
Yes, existence is false. Yeah.
Okay.
Existence is false, and then so when if the existence is false, then you cannot say that this is non-existent, because in order to say non-existence, you have to compare with the existence, right?
Right.
So there's no comparison of non-existence.
Great. Thank you.
Welcome. Martha?
Thank you so much for your teachings.
Welcome.
So I want to ask you, so one of the roots of the suffering will be the thoughts. So in absence of thoughts, it will be absence of causes.
Yes, correct. So I mean, like, the thought has different layers again, right? The initial thought would be just a misunderstanding, and then it become more grosser and grosser, and then it become attachment, and then so it has lots of consequences coming one after another, back to back. It's a very immediate reaction. The reaction of the misunderstanding of something is really quick, and then sometimes what happen is the misunderstanding, and then the reaction, the ultimate kind of reaction of the misunderstanding, we sometimes, are mixed up with them, and then we think they are the same thing. So, I mean, not just Kuramba, but I think most of these philosopher, the practitioner, what they does is they kind of like the separate the layers one by one, and then go back, and at the end he said, oh, I mean, like the ultimate, the fundamental the cause of suffering is trust of something is there or not, something is not there. We have this trust, right? We have this feeling of something must be there or something is there. So that's the first, I think, misunderstanding. Now, first very obvious misunderstanding, let's say obvious misunderstanding. There has more subtler, maybe, Koramba would say, but this is the most ever obvious one that we could say. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
So I'm so sorry. So what is truth of the origin of suffering in this context?
Truth of the origin of suffering. What do you mean by truth here?
The Four Noble Truths presentation that I'm familiar with. Truth of suffering, there is the three suffering, truth of origin.
Yeah, so again, the truth.
So here, what would it be?
Okay, so again, going back to the relative truth, it's all subjective, right? It's all subjective. When we talk about the cup of tea, right? So yeah, I don't think the tea is truth for you right now because you cannot see the tea. You're just assuming that it's a tea, but you don't know really, right? So your truth and my truth is different here again. But your truth is truth for you, but not for me. So the truth is basically the way you think is truth for you. So when you say truth of suffering, right? Truth of suffering, if you think that the suffering is real, and then I also think the suffering is real, yes, we have some commonality, but if you really go deeper and deeper, we will see lots of disagreement among us. Maybe we will not find even one commonality, unless like it's a big term like truth or real. But if you go like dig, then as Korampa said, don't dig, don't analyze too much because you will lose it. That's why the more we analyze, we will not find commonality. We will find only the disagreement. Okay, Dave.
Yes, I have a question about nihilism, because in the chat there's been some questions about nihilism, and so I want to address that. So the way I'd like to ask it is, Kurampa is saying that all conventional reality is false. So then what does Kurampa say how to avoid the danger of nihilism?
So as I said, the danger of nihilism comes when you say that there is something exists and then it does now that existence is not there anymore, right? So for him, there's no non-existent and there's no existence, because although he said that it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, he's just saying that it is not exist from the very beginning, the way we understand right now, and then he's not saying this is not exist, that is that not existence is not something that we compare with the existence, because it cannot be compared with the existence, because there's no existence. So I cannot really tell what I want to what I want to say. I mean, like I'm lack of the
In
term.
Buddhism, oftentimes we use sky flower or
Sky.
barren woman sun to
Okay, let's say, let's say,
does it mean that the non-existent here doesn't mean that or something else?
uh, okay, so let's say, can we compare barren woman's son and then barren woman's girl, girl, like the female child? Can we compare them and then say they are different or same? Maybe not, because we can create an idea of that and then we
They're
can talk about
non-existent.
that.
You can't compare them.
And then, like, in actual, we can't, right? We cannot. For like for Korampa, existence is like a barren woman's son, and then non-existence is like the female child. So they say, I mean, like, when he say there's no son of the barren woman, he's not really accepting the female child. No, he's not taking that in. He's not taking that in.
May I say that nihilism is as false as existence itself?
Yeah. Yes. That's I think correct.
Can I further on this? So how would you define nihilism, and how do we avoid nihilism?
Okay, maybe it's not my personal thinking, but
Uh-huh.
it's like Koromba would say. I mean, so if I'm exist right, if I'm exist right now, and then I become non-existent in 5 years later, so then now I'm not exist, right? So that is nihilism. Something exists first, and then it becomes not existence. So that is nihilism. That's nihilism. But if I'm not exist at all from the very beginning, then is there any idea of nihilism and eternalism?
Mm. So I'm thinking nihilism from the perspective, to trying to avoid the conclusion that nothing exists, so nothing matters. And this is the danger, that then
Hmm.
we think, oh, since nothing matters, then I can do whatever I want. So how do we avoid that?
Oh, that I can, like, as long as you have some thoughts, and as long as you have some thoughts and feelings and ideas, you cannot deny uh not doing right things. But as long as you have gone beyond the thought and imagination, then it doesn't matter. Really, like Buddha, it doesn't matter whether he practiced or not, because there's no practice for him to be practiced. I
Nothing
don't know.
wrong with nothing
Yeah.
wrong with nihilism as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, maybe I know I'm not really justifying the Korampa's view on that. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get what you were saying. So long as we have some ideas or thoughts, then what?
You have to you have to you have to do good things and avoid bad things, because it will have consequences in your imagination.
So karma is efficacious only when we have thoughts and ideas?
Great. So no,
I just describe it?
yes. So as long as you have a dream, the chasing by a dog, just run, don't stop, because it will hurt you in your dream, not in the real life, but the dream. So in your dream, just run, Don't run when you wake up, okay? Okay. Suzette, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
No, you did it right. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm just thinking, once you're of non-thought and there's not that duality, does not your past karma or actions still ripen, even though you've attained this non-dual state because of the I forgot the label you gave the mind that continues, or not, maybe you don't call it the mind, whatever the part that continues, your awareness.
Alaya Vijnana.
Thank you. That's a big word. Elevision,
The storehouse consciousness.
storehouse conscious. So you would still have, I'm asking, in your view, the ripening of past actions before you had that view, or even if you didn't have that view of karma, does that exist in your view?
Like you know, when you realize the emptiness for the first time, I think that there will be some residue of karma. Definitely, there should be, because you don't become Buddha immediately just after having realized of emptiness. No, because uh, so you have to go through lots of process, right? Even after the realization of the emptiness, and then and it is because that the residue of the karma or residue of the thought that has to be clean or eliminated through the process. And then, yes, it will ripen. And so how does it ripen? It ripens because you know you are in associate with the in associate with the reality directly only when you are meditating. But when you come out of that meditation, you are pretty far from that reality, the ultimate reality, although you are nearer compared to other who have not realized, but still you are gone far from that reality when you wake up. And then that itself is consequences of the karma, the residue of the thought or whatever, the karma.
Right. And right after I asked that question, I remembered hearing a story of Buddha stepping on thorns, and
Oh,
it was consequent, and he was a Buddha. And that was a consequence of an action that ripened even in that time
and
period. So,
I think that's more of the Theravadan understanding. But in Mahayana understanding, Buddha has no consequences. Only Bodhisattva could have kind of consequences, but not the Buddha.
okay, I
But
get that. I understand that.
that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Carol?
Hello, thank you for
Ah,
doing.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
The realization of emptiness when you become an arhat is non-conceptual.
Mm.
So, with these Garampan methods, are you doing a kind of facsimile of that non-conceptual realization? So it's just like a different method, but the same end?
I don't quite understand what you mean by facsimile.
Copy, a kind of copy at a different level. So it's like you're stopping the analysis earlier and then kind of pretending to have the non-conceptual realization before you actually get it.
I'm a little unsure if I correctly understand your question. So who is copying who? Who is copying what?
The meditator
Mm-hmm.
who is doing Gorampa style
Yes, okay, let's say.
is copying the non-conceptual realization, which later you will have with the Tsongkhapa system anyway. In other words, you're pretending to have it in a non-conceptual way before you actually have it.
I wouldn't say pretending, but it's kind of like striving.
Isn't striving conceptual?
Yeah, I think like if I'm meditating on emptiness using the Columbus method, right? Using the Columbus method, then what I'm doing is really like trying to do what really the the non-conceptual people doing. But I cannot do that as I'm just copying. And then
Yeah, the copying. Facsimile is copying.
yeah, copying. I mean, like, yeah, yes, I think it's pretty close to that. Yeah.
Okay, so you could say it's a different method for different kinds of people according to which way we would be karmically attracted to meditate.
Yeah.
So it can be useful.
It can be useful, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Do you know anything about this concept of black emptiness and white emptiness? It's
No,
a passage in it's a passage in one of the Tubchen Chodron and Dalai Lama books. And I've had several people around, and it's a conversation between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. They talk about the difference between white emptiness and black emptiness, and it's really good. I can send the passage through Dave, because I ask everybody I meet about it. What is the difference between white emptiness and black emptiness? Okay, I'll send it through.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to read that.
Okay, I'll get the page number and send it through. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Which book is that?
Tibetan children's book. She mentioned.
There are like several volumes. The 10th.
Yeah, there's several volumes on emptiness.
So this.
Sure.
I would have to look it up.
I haven't read those volumes yet, so I don't know. And I haven't heard of black emptiness and white emptiness.
Yeah. Black emptiness. I mean, this is a funny name, but still, I think there must be lots of ideas around that.
I could extend the question. A Dzogchen teacher who I went to for several years stressed that the Tsongkhapa method was very bad for people because there was too much meditation on absence. And so I am trying to understand why this criticism. I probably need to go back to them, but they said, in terms of mental health, and I'm thinking, but how are we meditating from this side on absence? We're not meditating on nihilism. We're not meditating on nothing existing. We're meditating on the lack of inherent existence. You get to a point where you can't find anything, and that it's not very good for you to stay on the not finding anything feeling.
So I think Koromba is kind of saying the same thing. Koromba was also saying, because Koromba is also referring the Tsongkhapa's view as a nihilism, because he argued that let's say when we think of this emptiness of this cup, so how would you meditate on the emptiness of this cup in the Korampas, no, in Tsongkhapa's method or approach? Anyone would like to go? Anyone? You know,
Be to identify the appearance of inherent existence and then logically establish that appearance it cannot be. So that appearance disappears.
So
You look
So
into
y-
the pots.
yeah, you deal with the inherent existence, the absence of the inherent existence, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the one. So and then you don't deal with. Do you deal with the cup itself?
As a conventional phenomena.
It keeps
Uh,
disappearing.
but you still think that the cup is there, right?
As dependent arising, maybe?
Yeah.
So the cup is still there, right?
Is there as a conventional reality?
So if I broke the cup, would you upset? Would you be upset?
Yes, conventionally.
It will affect you, right? It will affect you because just because of that, it is the cup is there, although it does not truly exist.
Mm.
Cup is there, then he broke that cup.
Yeah, if I was
That's my
meditating,
cup.
if I was meditating, I wouldn't care. And if I was if I had
But
realized, like if I was an Arya being, I wouldn't care.
but why don't you care? So you only know that truly existence of cup is not there, but the cup is there.
The cup is still there, but its functionality is not. It's no longer functioning as a cup, but it's still a cup. It's a
Yeah,
broken cup.
I'm
And
not
those are
trying
all
to.
labels, but they exist. It exists due to our view from our karma, just like my question. It's the collection of causes that bring us to perceive a cup that exists. Whether the cup is broken or not is irrelevant, because that's the cup's function. That's what I have to say about it. What do I know?
Yeah, I think that is the that is the question of Korampas for Tsongkhapa. Not particularly for us, but it is how Korampa would question the Tsongkhapa. So if you do not deal with the cup, then definitely this, as Suzette said, if it is just a name that you give, the name that you label that you gave to something, then what's the difference between name and the cup? Is cup a name?
Yeah.
That's the point. When we say emptiness, it is emptiness of something, right?
Mhm.
It is not just emptiness by itself floating in the air somewhere. So the emptiness of something is the cup, the house, the whatever.
But
In Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching on emptiness, he talks about 4 essential points. And the very first point is identifying the object of negation. And then the second point is to analyze, like say, for example, the I. Inherently existent I is the object of negation.
Yep.
And then the second step is to analyze whether this I is one with the aggregates or, and then the third point is separate from the aggregates. And then the fourth is that if it's neither one or separate from the aggregates, then, that is the emptiness of the I. So if we were to say the person, this body and mind is not here at all, then can I even talk about the emptiness of this person? Because the basis is not there. How can we talk about emptiness of anything? So the emptiness needs to be there. Now, in the stages of the path, for Arya Bodhisattva, when they reaches path of seeing, during meditative equipoise, when the Bodhisattva is directly realizing emptiness, there's no appearance of anything, because at that time only the appearance of emptiness appeared. And then when that bodhisattva comes out of meditation,
Can I stop you there? Can I stop you there? Can I
Okay.
stop you there?
Sure.
So, so you mentioned that when you are in the meditative equipoise, there's only the appearance of emptiness, but nothing of the cup or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
So
But it
this
does
is
not mean that the cup or what stop existing. It is just
but
no
but
appearance of it to the mind that is directly meditating on emptiness.
what happened to the cup
It is still there.
in your mind?
And when that bodhisattva, this is a description. I'm just
No,
describing.
I'm not like I'm just so
The cup is
don't
still there. Yes.
don't take it as a personal attack. But this is how Kurumba attacks the Tsongkhapa's view, because he reads Tsongkhapa's lines and then he try to like, okay, how, why he does that all the time.
Oh
And
yeah,
then so he has his
does the same thing to
his
other
own maybe like he has his own different understanding of Tsongkhapa's, maybe
yeah.
Tsongkhapa has different way of explaining that, but he would just, if you say that this, and then if you don't say that this, and then he would just go like, so go and like
Okay, I'm trying to answer Gorampa's questions of what about the cup that makes you upset when you are, when the cup breaks. So for an Ayya Bodhisattva who have directly realized emptiness of the cup, in post meditation, then the cup will appear again. But then that Bodhisattva, by the power of having directly realized emptiness during the meditative equipoise phase, now the bodhisattva will see the cup as illusion-like. That's the with Lama
yeah,
Tsongkhapa.
I think this
Not
is
illusion, but illusion-like.
yeah,
So,
this is in agreement with they are
so
common
very
in
specifically, what they meant by that is that the cup still appear truly existent to the bodhisattva, but the bodhisattva know that it is not truly existent, and therefore there's no grasping to the cup as being truly existent. And for such a person, if the cup breaks, the person would not be upset.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much same with I think they share this idea. I think both of them shares that idea.
Oftentimes, I find that they eventually talk about the same thing, but they talk about it in different ways.
Yes,
And
I think sometimes what I'm thinking is like when Kurumba said the cup doesn't exist is in the analytical state, right? He says the cup do not exist when you analyze, but it doesn't mean that it exists relatively in the relative sense.
Finally, that's why I was trying to distinguish earlier on when I asked the term not existing when Gorampa uses it. Does it mean not existent like the sky flower is non-existent?
Oh, not like that.
Or as you are saying here, when you are doing the analysis and not finding it. So is that way of not existing?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right.
when you analyze this, so that's why we said in the presentation, I said, don't analyze so much because it will disappear.
Because otherwise, I imagine Gorampa sitting there in the vacuum, like just nothing.
No, don't worry. In that sense, Gorampa is not sitting. Even he. Yeah. Okay, Dave. Sorry.
Hi. Yeah. So I would like to understand, in a crude way, the difference between somebody following Tsongkhapa and meditating on absence of inherent existence, and Gorampa having no conceptual thought, or meditating on having no thought. What is the difference?
To me, ultimately, I kind of try both of them. Not really like thoroughly, but I kind of try how it works as for the Koramba and as for the Tsongkhapas. I think it comes down to the same thing. Like, we say a truly existent cup doesn't the inherently exist cup doesn't exist. I mean, like, there's no such when we say so when you look at the cup and then see, oh, this cup doesn't exist the way I see it, right? So this is also Tsongkhapa's view, right? This is Tsongkhapa's view, and same thing as Karmapa. And then Karmapa says, oh, when you meditate on the emptiness, the cup doesn't exist. Same, right? The same. But the way they establish their own, view is completely different. And then that makes us think that, wow, that's completely two different things. But when you really go to the practice, I think they kind of come to the same conclusion. That's my feeling. I mean, that's my personal feeling.
Right. So similar experience of emptiness.
Yes.
But where I stumble with Gorampa is the presentation that conventionality is completely false. Where I find it interesting with Tsongkhapa that he emphasizes dependent arising, and that there's something infallible about dependent arising, so that this is kind of like when we're caught in the trap of believing in something, then we have to be cautious because our belief will cause us to suffer.
Yes.
But I guess, yeah, it's this. Yeah, I'll become lost in my own words. I'm sorry.
Okay, so just to make one point, what you said, like, Karmapa is focusing more on the dependent arising, and then Karmapa, Tsongkhapa is focusing on dependent arising, and Tsongkhapa says all the relative truths are false, right? These are
That's a contrast to me.
kind of contrast. So I mean, like, yes, Karmapa also says everything is interdependent. Same thing says Karmapa says. So, but the big difference to me is that Tsongkhapa would say that, okay, so what you see is correct, what I see is correct, and then both of them are here, right? Both of them exist, but exist for whom? For what? For in a right cognition or valid cognition, right? In the valid cognition sense. Whereas Karmapa would say, okay, you see water, I see tea. You're correct for you, I'm correct for me, but there's no correct as a whole, universally or sharing correct. So I think, to me, that is the big difference.
Okay, thank you.
So everything is subjectively truth, but not objective truth, right? So there's no like one big umbrella of one truth.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Rebecca, please go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you so much for helping us with all of this. I just wanted to ask you about attachment, because I do know people, or there is the possibility of a person who is completely not attached to every object around them and yet is not nihilistic. So I just wanted to understand how you place all of these ideas together with non-attachment. For example, if you have a cup and you're completely not attached to it and it breaks, you're completely not attached to it. In other words, you were giving examples about whether or not someone would be upset about when a cup breaks and seeing it as an illusion and other kinds of ideas. In some ways, doesn't non-attachment, I realize that it is not enough, but non-attachment does get rid of that aspect that you mentioned about being upset if the cup breaks. So if the cup is not an illusion for you, but you have no attachment to it, and the cup breaks, and you don't care, how do you understand that? Is that a part of what you're discussing, or is it not a part of what you're discussing? Does that make any sense? In other words, I don't understand your example because if the person, in other words, if the person has no attachment to the objects around them, they could very often appear to be a person who sees all of the things that you're describing. Does that make sense?
And then that makes total sense. Okay. Let me elaborate a little bit on that part. So Korampa's understanding is that as long as you see the cup, you don't see the emptiness. You are detaching from the reality. Not whether you are getting offended or upset is not a big deal. The biggest deal is it will separate. When you see the cup, it will separate you from the emptiness. That's the big deal for him. That's why he says the cup has to be dismantled. The cup has to be dismantled. Doesn't matter, true existence or just existence. It has to be dismantled. Unless you dismantle the cup, the idea of cup will be there in your mind, and then it will hinder you from seeing the emptiness. So that's the big deal for him. Whereas the Tsongkhapa says that no, the cup will not really hinder you to see the emptiness, right? So the only hindrance is the the misunderstanding of truly existence of the cup.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Early on you say emptiness is empty of idea. So the cup has no idea.
Emptiness is what? Absence of idea.
Yes. So that maybe relate with the emptiness of the mind. The mind having ideas and thoughts. So a cup doesn't think. It's not a. So how does a cup be empty of idea?
Of course, cup has no idea, right?
Then cup is naturally empty.
I mean, everything is by nature. Isn't it empty?
Early on, when you say the not finding is the non-existing, so does Gorampa mean here not finding a cup that is not interdependence?
Can you repeat the last part?
So Gorampa do say that all phenomena are interdependent, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they are interdependent.
So when we go through the analysis to try to find the cup and finding the cup to be not interdependent is the not finding. Is that the not finding?
So when you analyze,
not finding what?
When you analyze the system of interdependent get crashed.
So which means that you
so when you get to the state of emptiness, there's no so-called interdependent. But interdependent only works when it is not analyzed, thoroughly analyzed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, the cup is a transient group of microscopic particles according to the science. Why isn't a cup an idea? So yes, the particles. I know it's really good. How, why don't that the microscopic the group of microscopic particles is not a uh, no- not a pan, or not a cane, Y cup. I think this would be the question, the to get the same answer, same question, because uh there's no reason to call it cup just for that group of the transient microscopic particles. I think I don't know if I'm really like answering that question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Couldn't you say that it's the mind that decides there's a cup on the basis of those atoms?
Yeah, so but why don't you say it's a laptop? Why don't you say that? Right?
Good
And
question.
why don't you give the name of like a spoon, or like or something else? I don't know. I don't know. That laptop would be very radical, but
So valid basis. It's a question of valid basis.
the basis, yeah. Okay, Rebecca, you still have a question, or Emily?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Emily? No.
No, thanks.
We cannot hear you. Are you unmuted?
Let's see.
No, sorry. Ask to unmute. Can you unmute yourself first?
Yeah.
Okay, unmuted.
We still cannot hear.
Yeah, sorry, Emily.
Mhm. Good.
Okay, plugging in.
You might.
Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. This is a little bit weird, but I have a lot of cups that I have attachment to. And so I'm trying to reduce the amount of stuff or attachments that I've got. And so I rejoice when I break a cup.
Oh, that's great. So you try to reduce the attachment, and then when you are happy when you break the cup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so then I think not personally me, but I think what Koramba would tell you is, oh, maybe you are so attached to reducing your attachment. I'm sorry to say that, but this is the first thought that it comes occurred to my mind.
No, I'm desperate to release my attachments.
Yeah, but this is a good attachment. This is a good attachment. As for practitioner is a good attachment, because this is an attachment. So because we have good the merits, the merits that we can create is like it's a one type of attachment, right? And then it is a good. We accumulate the all the masters encourage to accumulate the merit, and then this is something that you should accumulate. This type of attachment should be accumulated, but at the ultimately, yes, ultimately, Kodamba would say ultimately it is something to be abandoned, but for now, yes, it's a good attachment to have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khenpo Pema Sherpa, for this wonderful conversation. We'll do the dedication now.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Jangchu Semcho Rinpoche Makye Panam Kegyurche Kepan Yampar Me Payang Gongne Gongdu Pewar Sho Tongni Dawa Rinpoche Makye Panam Kegyurche Kepan Yampar Me Payang Gongne Gongdu Pewar Sho Kampa Pao Jitair Kempa Dang Kuntu Zampo Deyang Dejin Te Dedang Kungi Jesu Dalob Jir Kewa Dedam Tanche Rabdungo Lusum Shepe Gawe Tamche Ki Ngowa Gangla Choktu Ngakpa De Kagi Gewe Tsawa Dikung Kyang Sangpo Chuchi Rabtu Ngohagi Gangri Rawe Korwe Shinkam Dir Pendang Dewa Malu Jungwe Ne Chenre Ziwan Tenzin Gyatso Yi Jabe Site Bardu Tengyo Ji.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you so much for your contribution and discussion. I really enjoyed, and yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Great, thank you, and best wishes to you and your studies.
Thank you so
And
much.
maybe we can do something like this again.
Sure, sure.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you.